Happy Wednesday and welcome to Radio Free Professional Wrestling. It's Ashlee along with Shawn. And Ashlee, I gotta admit, I was wrong. Forbidden Door was not as bad as I was saying 1 week ago. I actually came away from this pay-per-view pretty happy. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I wasn't as down on it as some people were. Um, Definitely not. I don't think the best pay per view of the year. But I think the matches we expected to be very good definitely delivered, and I think some of the matches that I think we kind of had our doubts about were, I think, kind of still a little doubted afterward.
True. You could easily make the case that 0 Hour with its 5 matches was actually better than the main freaking pay-per-view.
Yeah, definitely. I think one of the best free wrestling shows you're going to get. Even if you just watched the trios match at the end of it.
Okay, so do you remember last week when I said I was on the fence of whether or not I was going to spend $50 on this pay-per-view? Tony Khan can thank everybody on that pre-show for getting my $50 because after I saw the first 4 matches and heading into the midway of that main event for the 0 Hour, I was like, I'm going to hit yes. I'm going to hit yes, and we're going to watch the show.
Like I said, especially that trios match. I think that match alone could have sold the pre-show.
Honestly, it deserved to be on the main card. We could decide later on which one of the matches on the main card we would slid over to the 0 Hour to take its place. But let's get this show on the road with the first match that we saw on the 0 Hour after Kyle Fletcher's 3-minute match with Serpento, where Kyle Fletcher did win. Ashley, do you want to talk about this match before we go to the other matches?
Sure. An unexpected, unannounced match that Tony Khan apparently decided to throw on there so people could say there were 16 matches on the card and complain about that. Um, Very quick, very much in Kyle Fletcher's favor. He pretty much dominates Serpentico in a very, very easy win for Fletcher.
A nice little extra payday for Mr. Fletcher, I gotta say. Bravo to him. So the first match I came into at 0 Hour as I got home from work was actually the 4-way match, and it's Toru Ishii, Kyle O'Reilly, Gabe Kidd, Roderick Strong, Private Party, and they're no longer the House of Midcard, actually, because they won the freaking match. And we're talking about
Yeah, and
Brody
again,
King and Malachi
yeah,
Black.
I was just gonna say Brody King, man. He just continues to be the House of Black standout, in my opinion. He looks great. I was kind of surprised. Like I thought it was either going to be Private Party or House of Black to pick up the win, but it's nice to see them kind of give some momentum to House of Black. So hopefully they can kind of capitalize on it.
Okay, so another thing coming out of this match that we need is Stone Pitbull versus Brody King sometime in the near future. Because, dude, that little segment they had in the match, I was like, this needs to be a Dynamite or a Collision main event.
Yes, and I even saw on the scrum somebody asked about Brody King because of that brainbuster he took that looked really scary but looked vicious, and they said he's okay, he's good. So I didn't know if anybody had got the update.
So this was a fun opening match to get the show on the road, and I gotta say, I'm happy the House of Black won this match because if they didn't win this match, we've been in the same position as we've been with House of Black before. What do you do with them, and why are they together?
Yeah, and they've struggled. So, like I said, I know that it seems like Buddy Murphy's going to take some time off for a little bit, so maybe they can find some footing with the Kings of the Black Throne.
Exactly. No, by the way, congratulations to Buddy Murphy and Rhea Ripley on getting married over the
Yeah,
weekend.
a WWE AEW wedding.
See, we all can get along. Okay, we're moving to match number 2 of the 0 Hour, or actually number 3 if you count the Kyle Fletcher match. It's Willow Nightingale and her partner versus Chris Statlander and her partner Ashlee. This was a good tag team match, and I was happy they had Storm's ladies here for this card. And this is setting us up to tonight on Dynamite, where we see the quarterfinal of the Owen Hart tournament where we have Statlander versus Willow Nightingale. What do you think about this match?
Definitely a very good tag team match. Every time I see these Stardom ladies, I am nothing but impressed. They are all very talented. The suplexes, perfect. I love them. I'm pretty excited for this match too, with Willow and Stat coming up. I feel like we're gonna get a pretty good grudge match between these two.
If anything from this match carries over to tonight on Dynamite, I gotta say this is gonna be one heck of a match you don't want to miss. And I got a feeling it may be Chris Statlander's victory after what we saw at the 0 hour.
I agree. I think Statlander kind of deserves it. I like this heel run she's been going on. I think she's pulling off the heel character after being like kind of nothing but the like a baby face in the Best Friends for so long.
Exactly. Her pairing with Stokely Hathaway, I thought it wasn't gonna work. They are great together. They do not need to break apart while this is going on. Their chemistry is amazing.
Yeah, we need to keep Stokely Hathaway on my TV.
We're moving on to the next match in 0 hour as we have Mariah May versus Saraya. This was a great match, and I thought for just a second we might have got a little tension building here as we saw Toni Storm try to interfere and help Mariah May. Almost cost her the match, but Mariah May did get the victory over Saraya as we head to the main card.
Yeah, and a very fluid pin at the end too. Like she rolled right into a nice little roll up and got the victory. I thought it looked really good.
Yes. Mariah May is one of their best female talents, and signing Mariah May might have been the best signing of 2024.
She's up there, man. She, like I said a few weeks ago, she's kind of like right up there as one of my favorite women's wrestlers right now. She's like so like pretty and kind of like, oh my god, and then she will kick you right in the face. It is great.
Okay, so this was the main event of 0 hour. This is the one that got me to hit yes to pay $50 for the show. It's LIJ versus the Lucha Bros and Mystico. And how the heck this was the main event of 0 hour, I don't know. But thank you, Tony Khan, for putting this match here. I'll let you say what you want to say about this match because I know this was one you were looking forward to.
And it did not disappoint. It ended up being one of my favorite matches of the night. Just I've kind of spoken about like the lucha libre style before, and like when it's done right, it's like perfect. And I felt like everyone like just in sync with each other. The Lucha Brothers looked great. I thought Bushi really stood out. A lot of like a lot of tornillos that looked amazing.
This is everything you want from a Lucha Libre match, and I was happy to see this here because it led me to the decision to buy the pay-per-view. And we get to the main card and the very first match. As Kimmy Soko predicted 1 week ago, we'll give Kimmy all the credit in the world. She was Nostradamus. It's the salt of the earth, the hometown guy, MJF versus Heteroseto. And I gotta say, it was a good opening match. And the crowd was happy to see their native son back in the ring.
Yeah, it felt like everybody was excited to see MJF back in New York. I'm hoping he's okay. He did appear to hurt his arm, so I'm not sure if I haven't seen any updates as of yet, but hoping he's good because he just came back from a very serious arm injury. So
true, and he was holding that arm really close to his body for the second half of this match. A lot.
Yeah.
Okay, we're moving on to the second match on this card. And Ashlee, to me personally, this was my least favorite match on the card. As we have President Ace, Any Claim, Sister Aces versus the Elite. And honestly, if you told me 1 week ago, I would tell you this is the worst match on the card. I would tell you were crazy, but I thought the Elite had an off night.
Yeah, I could agree. I don't know if it's I feel like we'll talk about one that I thought was a little bit rougher, but yeah, I don't know. it felt like it was a weird pairing too to have Tanahashi with the Acclaimed. It made sense to have, I guess, Tanahashi and Okada face off, but I don't know. I felt like this one could have definitely been on the pre-show, honestly, with I guess in hindsight.
Yeah, or we could have done maybe Tanahashi versus Okada for the Continental title and just have the Elite and the Acclaim off the card. Because 1 week ago, one question I didn't ask you and Kimmy was going into our preview, there was not an Elite or Okada match yet. I was going, were we going to have this without the Elite and Okada? Well, Wednesday night rolled around last week, and the answer was no, we're going to have this because here's this match. And I feel like this match had like 7 days build, and that's why maybe it was not as good as it could have been.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. And I feel like this is kind of one of, like I said at the beginning, like, it's kind of one of those ones I think we had some doubts about when it was announced and kind of ended up being that way, you know?
Yes, I would agree with that. Now, a match that I know personally you were looking forward to the most is our next match, as we had the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson versus Shingo Takagi. It's Dragon versus Dragon.
And again, I was not disappointed. Hard hitting. I just love Bryan Danielson so much. So good. And it's nice to see Shingo kind of get like a little bit of a spotlight at Forbidden Door.
Exactly. It was a nice match. And, we were talking about it 1 week ago with Kimmy. And we're going like, could you imagine Shingo actually win this match and going forward in the All Heart tournament? There's a point in this match where I thought maybe they decided to go that direction, but the Dragon and Bryan Danielson made it good. And we're heading to tonight. We're getting Pac versus Bryan Danielson. Get your popcorn ready because this is gonna bang.
Yeah, it honestly, since Bryan Danielson has come into AEW, I've been waiting for them to have a match in this, in their current forms.
I got a good feeling this is gonna be the main event tonight on Dynamite. Is gonna be Pac versus Bryan Danielson, and please don't give them like the last 30 minutes of the show, or give them a good 15-minute overrun.
Yeah, honestly, give that match all the time.
Well, a match that needed all the time it got and could have gone a little bit longer is Toni Storm versus Mina Sakura for the AEW Women's title, and everybody left friends. Actually, we were wrong. We were thinking this is where the turn would start. That's what we're talking about 1 week ago. We actually got a 3-way kiss, and we saw Mariah May leave with both girls. I need Mariah to tell me how this works.
I was just like, hey, a happy ending in wrestling. Let's go. I needed that. Yeah, no, again, Mina Shirakawa looks great out there and immediately has the crowd over on her side. And I think everybody knows how I feel about Toni Storm. She is perfect. So again, I loved this. I honestly think these 3 matches here that we're gonna the previous match, this one, and the next one, I think was like the best stretch of this pay-per-view. These 3 matches back to back to back. I'm very curious to see where this is gonna go from here, because this obviously means that Mina will kind of maybe still be popping in and out here.
True. I still think that we were kind of right as we're talking about Mariah May eventually for the All Heart Women's Tournament. I feel like she's going to win it, and we're going to see maybe friend Mariah May versus friend Toni Storm, pupil versus student, and maybe we have to wait to All In London to get one of them to turn on the other.
Yeah, I feel like the end game is like Mariah May winning the title at All In, and if so, like, I would, no pun intended, be all in on that, because she has honestly, since she come in, like, been nothing but like a workhorse. She's been out there almost every week. This storyline has been one of, honestly, the most I would say, like, consistent that AEW has done that I can remember from the women's division. And I think that it's been fantastic.
True. Honestly, like I said a week ago, I felt like this was the strongest build storyline going into this pay-per-view, and the match showed it. it paid off. It gave you everything you wanted with a surprise ending to all of us as everybody left as friends. And I got a feeling we're going to see them as a 6-lady tag coming up here either on Dynamite or Collision come up soon. So, on to, if I wasn't biased, this was my favorite match of the night because I called this one. Everybody thought I was crazy for picking Zack Sabre Jr. to beat Orange Cassidy. But, oh boy, did Zack Sabre Jr. beat Orange Cassidy. And I got to say, Orange Cassidy, this was his best match I've seen ever. This was great.
Yeah, I pretty much popped at the ending of this match in my apartment. I like I said last week when we did the preview and everything, like I feel like Orange Cassidy just gets those wins, but I said then I wanted Zack Sabre Jr. to win, so I was so happy when he did win. He is to me like the best wrestler in New Japan, and why he's not the champion right now, I don't understand. He should be the champion. This match and like every match, like he had the match with Hechicero this year, he had the match with Bryan Danielson this year. Like, crown this man, New Japan. Like, what are you waiting for?
Actually, I got a feeling that these two guys from this match have elevated themselves so much. Orange Cassidy deserves an AEW World Title shot here down the road. This was his best match in AEW, and this evolution of Orange Cassidy from the slacker character that we first saw him a few years ago, as he worked through the best friends, he worked through his battle with Trent after they broke up, and he came out in the Dark Denim. Every time he comes out in Dark Denim, he's more aggressive. He wrestles a different style, and I'm like, that's the Orange Cassidy that needs to go forward.
Yeah, honestly, no one was ever going to convince me otherwise on Orange Cassidy. I love him, and I always have. I think Zack Sabre Jr., like, his just in-ring technical ability is going to raise anybody's standards and abilities in the ring. Like, you either have to, like, kind of catch up or, like, you know, get left behind, essentially, with somebody like Zack Sabre Jr. He's so precise and so technical and everything. Like, if you're not on his level, it will show. And Orange Cassidy, I'm so happy that he can go out there and put on these matches, because he gets a lot of those comments, and sometimes I do feel like maybe stuff gets a little bit repetitive, but he'll go out and he'll put on a match that everybody goes, oh yeah, wait, he can actually go, and sometimes we forget that.
Exactly, and I feel like this match he had Sunday night was one of those cases where he was like going like, yeah, I'm going to remind everybody that I am a freaking professional wrestler and I can freaking go, and he went.
Yeah, and I would probably second that and say this was probably my favorite match of the night, even with Danielson and Takagi being on there, being a close second. But I need New Japan to see these matches and realize what they're not capitalizing on right now, because it's insane for a company that's struggling to find a top guy to not crown this man.
Exactly. Hello, New Japan Pro Wrestling. You have Zack Sabre Jr. If you're unwilling to push David Finlay for some odd reason, Zack Sabre Jr., let him win the G1. Let him go to Wrestle Kingdom, but not to challenge for the title. He needs to have the title before Wrestle Kingdom, then somebody else can challenge him for the title at Wrestle Kingdom, because I don't think Nitro can make it to Wrestle Kingdom, especially if you leave him in the G1.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that a little later.
Okay, so one match that could have gone, and I would not have shed a tear about, was this match coming up. It's the trios match with Samoa Joe, Hook, and Shibata versus the freaking Learning Tree, and somehow the Vortex of Jericho stuck in Jeff Cobb. Now, I will give Jericho some credit here. He got Hook over like nothing else with the finish of this match, with Hook hitting the Judas effect and letting Hook pin him with the Judas effect was a chef kiss. So I guess mission accomplished. We did get Hook over. So I do owe Jericho an apology, because he actually did what he was planning to do in the process. But dude, this Learning Tree is not going well for me besides that.
Yeah, honestly, very clean looking Judas effect too. Like that looked great. I honestly, I would have been fine with just Samoa Joe versus Jeff Cobb for the television championship there, but that's me. Um, I mean, it had its moments. Like you did get the showdowns between Samoa Joe and Jeff Cobb, and I'd even be down for like Samoa Joe versus Big Bill. I think that could be really good, but I still feel the same way about the Jericho thing. Uh,
Yes,
I don't I don't know what to do. I don't know if it can win me over, and I feel like I'm just getting more annoyed with it.
well, I'll co-sign the Jeff Cobb versus Samoa Joe match. We need to have that as well sometime in the near future because those two guys are hosses and they are money to waiting to be made by either New Japan Pro Wrestling or AEW.
Yeah, and I come on, come to Dynamite. It's a 15-minute time limit. It's not even that long. Come on.
You could do one on Dynamite. You could do one on Collision. You could do one all in London. You could do one in New Japan Pro Wrestling. I don't care. Give them 4 matches.
Yeah, Samoa Joe and New Japan, do it.
Okay, so we're on to the ladder match for the vacant TBS TNT Championship. This was a great match with one scary spot on Dante Martin. I was happy that he wasn't as injured as I thought he was, because when he went down off that ladder and he grabbed his leg, I thought we just witnessed deja vu, and I felt really, really bad for Dante Martin. I was going like, please, dear Lord, don't let his leg be broken.
Dante Martin, a recent graduate from the School of Sin, Bryan Danielson, definitely scaring the hell out of everybody with that, because they even mentioned the previous ladder match where he completely broke his ankle and shattered it, and I like had a mini flashback there for a second, but seems to be good. And I agree. I thought this one was very good, and I think in a match like this, you can struggle with like timing and how things look with people getting set up in the ring and people maybe not hitting cues to like pull people off the ladder and stuff like that. But it felt pretty smooth. It didn't feel like people were standing around awkwardly waiting and stuff. I think we've seen that kind of everywhere. But I mean, Konosuke Takeshita, man, look at that reaction that guy got. I think it's time to start pushing him toward a championship.
Long Island was solidly behind Katasha to win this title. They were willing him to climb up the freaking ladder. And even though we got the guy we thought was going to win it from the beginning in Jack Perry, that crowd would have gone ballistic to see Katasha on top of that ladder with that title.
Yeah, they were. I mean, even being a member of the Don Callis family didn't seem to deter them from wanting to be around Takeshita. I think that family's gonna fall apart faster than Don Callis realizes.
Well, I feel like there might be 2 baby faces in this fashion that be leaving real soon if they do things right. I mean, we know that Takesha's heading over to the G1 later in July and the early part of August. I'm hoping they carry this momentum from this ladder match into that, and he has a good showing in the G1 tournament.
I'm pretty excited for that first round matchup with Yota Tsuji.
Oh, that's going to bang, and it's going to be one of those matches that you have to circle and wake up early to watch. Okay, so talking about a star-making moment, it's this next match. It's the TBS Championship. It's Mercedes Moné versus Stephanie Vaquer. It's title versus title. And yes, we kind of knew the outcome of this match going into it. But dang, if Vesey Secure doesn't decide to go like, I'm going to make sure I'm one of the best professional wrestlers in the world. And I was eating out her palm by the end of the match.
Yeah, they turned on Mercedes real quick.
It's kind of funny because there's one guy in dead center of the hard cam with his Celtics jersey on, and he started going, beat the Celtics. Then it's like everybody in the arena went, oh, wait a minute. Mercedes Moné is from Boston. Boo. And like every time Stephanie would get close to winning, they were cheering. And there's this moment where Mercedes Moné is like lifting Vaquer on her shoulders, and the crowd is just booing her out of the building, and she's as small and as big as she could be. And he saw the switch flip there where Mercedes Moné basically won that match as a heel.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was it was very cool to see it kind of happen in real time. Like she realized, like, hey, like they're not on my side. Like that's okay. They still like me, but this is new. This is a new toy, and they've just discovered it. That's great. So she kind of plays into the heel bit, and I'm hoping that with what happens post match, they'll continue to play into her being a heel, because a heel CEO character, I think, could be kind of peak in the women's division.
Okay, so we have Monet with both titles in dead center in the ring, and we get a shot of the stage. And wait a minute, is that Britt Baker's music hitting? And everybody's going DMD, and Britt is back. The doctor is in, and we can take the milk carton off the shelf now.
I like yelled. I was so excited. Britt Baker, I love you. I'm so happy she is back. I have been waiting for this. I'm hoping now she looks fantastic. I'm hoping she's kind of fully recovered from her injury that I know she was dealing with. I'm excited for this. I think this is kind of like a big reason that I know a lot of people, can be, a little harsh on Britt Baker, I think, but I think this will be a real test for her to see how she's been doing in the off time that she's had.
True. And I got a feeling that these two ladies are going to work their butts off, and this is going to be the TBS championship match for All in London. And I can't freaking wait to see this happen.
I would definitely not be opposed to it.
Exactly. Now, we're going to hear from Britt Baker tonight on Dynamite, and we also have a double title celebration for Mercedes Moné. I got a feeling that this is going to intertwine each other, and you're going to see Britt Baker come out to ruin the celebration. Then we get the Britt Baker interview, and I got to feel like they are going to set this storyline up, and we're going to be working our way to London, and we got to have a wonder, when do we get Jamie Hager back? Because we need Jamie Hager now.
I hope it's soon. Oh my God, she's been out for what? It's been over a year now. Like, please, please come back.
Exactly. So if we have Mercedes Moné versus Britt Baker at All in London, and Jamie Hager is able to go, Tony Khan, Stephanie Bakir versus Jamie Hager, please and thank you, and I'll give you another $50.
Yep.
Okay, so we're moving on to the semi-main event of Forbidden Door. It's Jon Moxley versus Naito for the New Japan Heavyweight Championship, the IGWP title. And I love Naito. And boy, I was kind of a little heartbroken because I know he's on the twilight of his career here. And Jon Moxley did everything in his power to make this match a semi-main event level match.
Yeah, he tried to salvage it, but man, we've kind of been talking about Naito's condition for a while now here on the podcast, and I think I'll take the L on the predictions for this one, but I think me picking Moxley was definitely there was some reasoning behind it that we saw.
Exactly. It was not Naito's best night. And I just have to say, it's not due to him. It's just due to Father Time being undefeated. Father Time will never be defeated.
Yeah, I feel like it was a weird call too to have like Naito. Like, it's great to have Naito be able to come over and be at Forbidden Door and everything, but I felt like it was a weird choice because Moxley had just beat him a few months ago for the title. I wish New Japan had done something more with like Shota's loss to him and built Shota up over the past couple of months to this match. A young Shota Umino beating Jon Moxley at Forbidden Door and bringing home the IWGP Heavyweight Championship could have been like a really great storyline that could have made their next star. And I felt like they tried to rely on Naito, who can't go like he used to.
Well, like we said before we got the show started this evening, when we recorded on Tuesday night, I feel like they need to pull Naito from the G1 tournament. I don't want to see Naito go for the G1 tournament. I don't want to be there watching every day of the G1, wondering if he's going to not make it through the match, if he's not going to make it through the G1.
Yeah, it should be at least a little bit of a concern for New Japan because that performance was it was like scary. Like there were times where I didn't know if he was like hurt or something, like things like went wrong, moves got botched. He didn't seem like he was like getting up for the spots correctly or was like laying down for too long. I was like, is he actually like hurt? Like I think they have to really think about their options and they need to start focusing on the people who can perform at a level they need them to.
Exactly. This should be a wake up call to the higher ups in New Japan Pro Wrestling that they need to develop their younger generation of talent. They have some on the cusp. They haven't been willing to pull the trigger. Tanahashi and Naito are not getting any younger, and you may be able to get through this Wrestle Kingdom season with them, but you got a whole new year in 2025, and I doubt you're going to have both of them at Wrestle Kingdom 2026.
Right. And it's going to be tough for Naito going back and like you said, the G1 coming up, like I would be concerned for not just obviously like the title picture is one thing. You can always like repair that stuff, but like Naito's health needs to be a concern more than anything.
Exactly. That's my major concern here with Naito coming out of this match at Forbidden Door. Is like, this is one match where he has some time to prepare for. You get into G1 season where, yeah, they stretch this out a little bit longer now, but still, it's a lot of matches in a short period of time. And a G1 has a certain standard to their matches.
Yeah. And like you said, I think they gotta at least kind of like make sure he's okay when he gets back and kind of make a decision, but make it quick because that was a rough performance.
True. We're going to leave that there and move on to the main event of Forbidden Door. And I got to say, we were coming into this kind of lukewarm on this main event. We were wondering why we were getting it here. Now, Sean Ross Sapp reported on Tuesday afternoon that it was Will Ospreay's call to have this match here at Forbidden Door because he wanted to give Swerve the opportunity for the victory here to get rid of this idea that Swerve Strickland was a placeholder for Will Ospreay to get the title at All In London. So, if that's true, Will Ospreay, bravo to you. You are a team player, and this was one hell of a match.
Yeah, honestly, I don't think anybody had any doubts that it was going to be a great match, and again, it felt like it over delivered.
I do have one minor nitpick here for this match, and it's the involvement of Don Callis in this match. It was doing great. Then we see Don Callis comes down. He gives the screwdriver to Will Ospreay, and Will Ospreay just sits there like he's going to place it into Swerve his manager, and he decides, no, I'm not going to do it. He tosses it away, rolls back into the match. Swerve gets some, and it's like this dumb babyface moment. I'm going like, I think we could come up with a better way for Don Callis to cost Will Ospreay the victory here. I just think they overfought this a little bit, playing the screwdriver again.
Yeah, I mean, you could have easily just done like, Will throws Swerve into the ropes, Swerve reverses it, Don Callis accidentally pulls Will's foot or something, messing up his momentum, like something like that. It was a little bit melodramatic, and I will never not take the opportunity to complain about Don Callis because always the worst part. Boo Don Callis.
Yeah, I was going like, you could get him up there interfering with the referee. Swerve throws Ospreay into him, then that triggers Swerve Strickland's inning sequence. You end with the Swerve stop, 1, 2, 3, and you have Ospreay looking at Don Callis going like, dude, I told you to stay at the back. Why are you down here? Why are you interfering in my match? And you leave the pay-per-view with them arguing as Swerve is going up the ramp.
Yeah, that I would have liked that too. Or even like Will Ospreay like just getting mad because he even showed up because he told them flat out a few weeks ago, like, I don't need you there. Like, don't worry about it. I got this. And I like I said, the screwdriver stuff a little bit melodramatic, but the match itself, fantastic, and we'll need a rematch of that soon.
Oh, yes. Agreed. If they run this back at All in London, I would have no problem with it whatsoever. Okay, Ashlee. So we just talked about Forbidden Door coming out of this pay per view. How would you rank this one? Was it a great show, a good show, an average show, or it was just a show?
I would say it's probably between average and good for me. Definitely not like the best pay-per-view AEW has done, but it's certainly not the worst. A couple of rough matches, but some really, really good matches on this card that I think kind of make up for it.
Well, you're in agreement with everybody on our Twitter poll, on Radio Free PW on Twitter. I had an instant reaction poll where I suggest great, good, average, or it was just a show. 41.9% of those who responded said it was a great show. Good show got 30%. So, like you said, it's somewhere in the middle there, and I kind of agree with it. I would have gave it like a 7 out of a 10. I feel like it was a 7 out of 10 solid show. I didn't go out of the show thinking like, man, I just wasted $50. I didn't have that regret like I was talking about last week. So, bravo.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking probably around that, like a 6, 7 out of 10 for the show overall. Um, like I said, some really good matches, some sort of meh matches, but definitely like do yourself a favor, and if you don't end up spending the money, at least go watch that pre-show.
Yes, exactly. The pre-show is up on our YouTube channel, and it is well worth a watch. And I gotta say, Tony, you did the timing and pacing on this show great. Even with 16 matches, this thing did not drag. I did not feel this thing being slow. And when we finish right around midnight Eastern, I'm going like, wait a minute, we're finishing at midnight Eastern, and this is an AEW pay-per-view? What the heck?
Yeah, I felt the same way. I by the end of it, I was like, wait, we just went through 16 matches? Like it didn't feel like it, but it somehow felt like it. It was weird.
Exactly. So let's go on to this evening and give you a quick rundown at AEW Dynamite as we are on a special Wednesday episode of Radio Free Professional Wrestling. And the first thing we're going to talk about, we get an international title match, Will Ospreay versus Daniel Garcia. Daniel Garcia cut one hell of a promo on AEW's Twitter channel. Go check that one out before you see this match this evening. Ashlee, my question for you is, does Will Ospreay lose 2 matches in a row and Daniel Garcia becomes the new international title holder, or does Will Ospreay get a victory here?
I don't know. I think this is genuinely a hard one to call because I could see Will Ospreay kind of being a little, kind of traumatized right now, having his first loss here in AEW. And the way that Daniel Garcia has been getting this push lately, I could definitely see them kind of taking this opportunity to switch it to him. I I might pick Osprey though because I think they might want to keep him this at least the international champion through All In.
I can see that. And I feel like maybe if they don't want to do Osprey versus Strickland at All in London and you want to have a AEW World title match and an international title match, you could literally have Daniel Garcia versus Will Ospreay at London, and it would be a great match as well.
Yeah, especially because I could see, like they do have a tendency to kind of run things through, like put them in a storyline. Will Osprey is really good with this, so like let's see what he can do in something with somebody as young as Daniel Garcia, who's still kind of finding his way.
And we want to send out our heartfelt condolences to Will Ospreay as he lost his grandmother this past week, as he posted on his Twitter channel. We just want to express our condolences to Will Ospreay and his family.
Agreed. That is the worst.
We'll move on to Chris Statlander versus Will Nightingale, as this is a quarterfinal match in the Owen Hart tournament. Ashlee, I feel like coming out of this pay-per-view at Forbidden Door, I gotta feel Chris Statlander has a good chance of winning this match, and I've kind of got my fingers crossed she does.
I can see it. I think she's gonna have some anger, especially coming out of this loss on the pre-show from Forbidden Door. I feel like she might get this win too. I think I see Statlander maybe making it to the finals.
Yeah, I do think we're going to see Statlander versus Mariah May at the final in All All in London, but we'll get there in a couple of minutes. Let's go talk about the match that me and you are both circling around and going to get home early on Wednesday night to watch, as it's Pac versus Bryan Danielson. I know where you're going to say. Are you torn?
I've been waiting for this match since Bryan Danielson came into AEW. These guys in this current form, I am so ready for this, and I am very glad I have Thursday off.
Okay, I'm going to take Pac to win this match, just for the simple fact that I feel like Bryan Danielson doesn't want to be the AEW World Champion. And he has a tendency to put over people during this farewell full-time tour he's been, and he got his win at Forbidden Door. So he's going to let Pac have this victory here, and we'll spin him off to maybe Nigel versus Bryan Danielson at All in London. Please and thank you. I'm still trying to push this freaking Bryan Danielson versus Nigel feud. Let's go.
I could definitely see that happening too. He just had this hard-hitting match with Shingo Takagi this weekend. Pac coming in fresh. I could definitely see, especially because they were running that weird storyline where Pac was eating a lot of big losses and seemingly taking it very hard. He kind of got a couple of wins more recently, so I could see them kind of continuing the wins for him. And listen, I know Bryan Danielson doesn't want to be champion, but I want Bryan Danielson to be champion.
I know you and Kimmy both want him to be champion, and you both want him to kind of get the reverse screw job version of the championship, where he just stands up with a title in his hand and goes like, "How did I get this?"
Gotta do like you did the Sting, you know. You just gotta, you just like, no, you're gonna be a champion. It's good.
Okay, so we're going on to the question mark of the evening, because we have Jeff Jarrett in a quarterfinal match versus a wild card that is being selected by the Elite. Kimmy kind of teased that she knows who this is, and we did try to get this information from her, but she wouldn't tell us. So I'm got a feeling that this is where Hangman Adam Page comes in here, because I got a feeling that it should be Hangman.
It better be Hangman. Another one that like has been on a milk carton missing for the past few months. It would be very nice to see them get MJF, Britt Baker, and Hangman back all within a few months of each other. So I'm hoping it's Hangman, because I feel like, especially if the Elite is handpicking it, I feel like that was kind of a hint. So I feel like, you know, they could still pull a swerve somewhere, but I feel like it should be a pretty solid choice to be Hangman.
True. Now, I did run a poll on our YouTube channel where I was asking who could the wild card be, and the winner of that poll was Dominant Dijak. Which, if it's Dijak, hey, cool, that'd be a nice little surprise. But if that's the case, I would want Jeff Jarrett to go over, because Jeff Jarrett has this storyline where he's best friends with Owen Hart, and he's in this tournament, and he's the only one who worked with Owen Hart. And they basically babyface him in this little video package they had that brought some tears to my eye, where I was almost willing to advance Jeff Jarrett to the freaking final.
Every time I see Jeff Jarrett, I'm like, I don't want to see Jeff Jarrett. And then Jeff Jarrett talks, and I'm like, damn it, I like Jeff Jarrett. That promo legitimately almost like, I was almost like in tears. Like, it was so good. Like, I understand essentially why everybody wants him to win now. And I could see them, that's what I mean. Like, it could still be a swerve, and they could do something like that. Like, I don't know if I don't think Jeff Jarrett would go all the way if they did that, but I could see them at least letting him win the first round after something like that. So who knows? I think we all want to just see him win after that, though.
Exactly. Fair warning. If you go look this video out, just make sure you have some Kleenex next to you, because you're going to have a good cry after this 9-minute video. Okay, so two things left to talk about on this episode of Dynamite this evening. We kind of hinted at it before. Britt Baker is scheduled to have an interview. We're going to hear from the good Dr. DMD. I get a feeling that she's after some gold. Now, is it the AEW World title, or is it the one being held by a certain CEO, Mercedes Moné?
I'm so excited. I can't wait to see her come back, and like I said, I hopefully it seemed like the AEW crowd was excited to see her back. So hopefully, like I said earlier, I hope Mercedes Moné kind of capitalizes on this like little bit of a newfound like heel persona that she kind of dug into a little bit, because I think she's got like the perfect attitude for like a heel CEO character.
I do too, and I can't wait to get to this evening on AEW Dynamite. One last thing, as we are kind of hinted at, we will have a celebration of the double champion Mercedes Moné, and if it's not Britt Baker coming down to interfere and cause this thing to go wrong, can it not be Camille? Can I freaking get Camille versus the CEO, please? That'd be a dang good match as well.
Yeah, and again, it's weird that they haven't brought her in yet at all. It would be a very cool place to debut, especially after the big pay-per-view and stuff.
Honestly, Ashlee, when they panned that camera up to the stage at Forbidden Door for a second before that music hit, and we knew it was DMD Britt Baker, part of me thought it was going to be Camille.
Yeah, I keep seeing that like she's like being like prepped to like make her debut, but I was like, she's been signed since like the beginning of the year.
True. And I'm like, can we not get this thing going here? I'm like, what are we waiting for?
Right? I feel like AEW has some talents that are like signed and have been signed for a while, but for whatever reason just haven't like Motor City Machine Guns. Like we know they went. Why haven't we seen them? You know, like where's Megan Bain? She's another women's wrestler that we saw a couple of times. She went to Stardom, and we know she's still with AEW, but like she hasn't been on TV or anything. And she's another one like Camille. Like she's an Amazon. Like she is super tall, super strong. Like I'd love to see her come in and get involved in this women's division.
Very true. Well, we hope you enjoyed this episode of Radio Free Professional Wrestling. Ashlee, where can we find you on the super information super highway?
Mostly on Twitter. It's at groovy_ash_. And then on there, I have a list of other socials that are all out and about on other platforms.
And of course, you can find me on Twitter at RFPW Shawn. You can follow the show at Radio Free PW, or you can visit www.radiofreepw.com to catch up on the past episodes of the show. And if you enjoyed this video version of the podcast, hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe to Radio Free Professional Wrestling on YouTube so you don't miss a episode. We will be back Saturday morning, giving you a preview of WWE Money in the Bank and NXT Heat Wave. And I gotta say, coming out of Forbidden Door, WWE has a little bit of work to do, but these two cards coming up weekend, I get a feeling that WWE is gonna hit it out of the park. How about you, Ashlee?
Yeah, I feel like there's some solid stuff lined up, so I think it should be some good shows.
And I just have to keep my eye out for you and Kimmy to cash in that Money in a Brief contract on my Pick Contest Championship now. So I'm on the lookout. We'll see you next time on Radio Free Professional Wrestling. Stay stunning.